So
Yeah, that's the thing is like very rarely do you find an idea that's truly unique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you even look at a movie like Everything Everywhere All at Once. It has things that I'm sure have been taken from other things. It in and of itself is a very unique creation and a very unique experience. But I mean, everything. I am one to believe that there aren't hardly any, if any, new, completely just like never thought of before ideas. I'm a skeptic when it comes to that.
I do have some fun little conjecture for this. It's actually somebody made an entire program system. It's called the Library of Babel that they've created. It's an online thing. You can go look it up. It's actually like live and active right now. It is every single string of words that could ever be put together is in that website and has pre-existed before you would like type it in to go find it. There's an index. It's been like they mathematically proved that it is everything that could have ever been written or ever will be written all in one place at the same time. So statistically speaking, you will never have an original idea.
Yeah, so you're not special.
It's already been done.
Somebody's done it before you.
Literally has already
And probably
been done.
someone in Asia is doing it better than you anyways.
Correct. So fun little fact. You will never, ever write anything or make anything that is unique and original.
Yeah.
And guess what? That's okay.
That's okay.
That's like kind of the whole human experience is to share things that have meaning and have relevance to each other.
Yeah, just because it's never been said or done before or whatever
Yeah.
doesn't mean that everyone has experienced that. So
Right.
when you connect with words or an idea or
Yeah.
something and you decide to express it, it doesn't mean that the people around you or anywhere else has experienced it. So it may seem like a new thing, it just really isn't.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's not worth sharing or saying or expressing in the way that you express it through art, music, poetry, writing, whatever it is that you do. So we don't want to discourage you from that, but
Yeah. It
It's just
shouldn't
a
it shouldn't be
factual-
discouraging.
yeah, it's just a factual.
More people have seen Reservoir Dogs than they have 12 Angry Men. And therefore, more people have seen 12 Angry Men than Reservoir Dogs.
It's
That's just how it is.
It's a very interesting thing, how that all works out.
Yeah.
So, but when it comes to this particular movie, I think that it's very good because I think it touches also on socioeconomic, right? Because when they're deliberating, they talk about that side of town or that group of people. So I believe that they took socioeconomic, so poor versus richer neighborhoods. They talk about, I think, race. I think they throw in the word like those kind of people or those people. They say that. So obviously you fill in the blanks. You're talking about there's some racism going on there. You know, there's a lot of ideas of classism, racism, socio-political stuff. Again, there's personal, domestic situations. You have in this group of people, you have very loud extroverts. Mr. I got to go to the baseball game guy. And then you
Spoilers, he does not make it.
no, he does not make it. And then you have guys who are very quiet, which I think was one of the guys who was like, he was actually one of the guys.
He was one of the first ones to switch over.
Yeah, he was the one that was like, he's like, I grew up around them and those people. And he's like, that was my experience. And so like, I think he had a little more empathy and he was one who was swayed early on.
Yeah.
He was a very quiet type of guy. He's not a fighter. He's just a keep his head down kind of guy.
Get the whole spectrum.
Dude.
12 people.
Yeah, and it's a very good. I get why you and even Clint was like, dude, you have to see this movie
it's so
because
good.
it's like, I guess I don't know anything about like film school and things like that, but I feel like that's a movie that would be for homework that you got to watch in film school. I would
It was.
imagine.
It was.
So
It was one of the, well, I watched it in high school because my film teacher was also my high school director for theater. Spoilers, I'm a theater kid. Converted theater kid. And he,
Very important.
and it's actually more a theater thing to be like, hey, 12 Angry Men is a show. I wanted to do that show when I was in high school theater, but let's be real, there's no group of 12 teenagers that could ever pull that off. But it's a show that I really, really wanted to do because the movie was so impactful. Is like, more people need to experience this, especially nowadays when everybody feels like we're at each other's throats. We've always been at each other's throats. We're always going to be at each other's throats. But what we can do to change that is the understanding of each other, like you said. And so it's a timeless classic, as we see a lot for some reason.
well, yeah, there are just certain ideas. There are certain things about the humanity and the human condition that you're not gonna age out of, so to speak. Like those things. Like when I watched this, I was like, and I told you as soon as I was done watching, I was like, you could literally just remake this movie today in a different way. Obviously, you don't want to
Just change the dates and times
thing and do a word for word, but like you could change the scenario, you could change, but like the things that they're talking about, the things that each of those individuals in that room were struggling with are still real and relevant today.
Oh yeah.
I think that those guys being in the 50s were a little bit kinder than what people in a courtroom today.
Absolutely.
There would be a lot more cursing and like, hey, don't you yell at this older guy because you need to have respect for our elders. Like,
Yeah, that was fuck that guy.
Yeah, that was one of those things that I saw.
Absolutely. Get him out of here.
How many times we got to teach you this lesson, old man?
Yeah, exactly. The future's now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still think that the things that they're talking about, things that they're dealing with, and the conversations they're having are extremely relevant, even in today's.
Well, there was another thing that I wanted to bring up that you probably aren't super aware of. Have you ever watched The Crucible? Okay, so The Crucible is another movie that was adapted by a play by Arthur Miller. You know about the Salem witch trials, right?
Yes.
Where they would be like, that woman's a witch, and then they just go kill her because they couldn't prove or not prove otherwise.
Yeah.
It's this is another one of those very reminiscent.
Like if you throw her into the lake and she floats.
Yeah, then she's a witch.
Yeah.
But you have to tie a rock to her.
Yeah.
To see if she floats. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
That's a movie reference.
So Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible, which is about the Salem witch trials, right?
Yeah.
It's about the proving of whether or not this person is guilty of something that can't be proven.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, 12 Angry Men was based off of The Crucible. And The Crucible was not based off of the Salem witch trials. The Crucible was based off of something that was happening in the early 1920s, 1930s in Hollywood, where I'm sure somewhere in history class, somewhere you learned about the Red Scare, where people would shout like, hey, this person's a communist, and then they would get blacklisted and interrogated by the FBI. Well, Arthur Miller was in the middle of all of that. Arthur Miller was one of the people that people were trying to get convicted of being a Russian communist spy to ruin their careers. The Hollywood actually had what they called the blacklist, which had like Charlie Chaplin on it and a bunch of other like really high, like famous people.
Successful people, yeah.
Yeah, that they wanted to get out of Hollywood for whatever reason. It was just a really easy way to get rid of people you didn't like. And Arthur Miller wrote The Crucible about the Salem witch trials to imitate exactly what was happening in the moment.
Yeah.
With actual reality. And it was that's another one of my favorites. Another one of those like, hey, prove that this person's guilty. You can't. You can't prove it, even though everybody's shouting and trying to prove that everything otherwise.
It's not what you saw, it's what you can prove.
It's not what you saw, it's what you can prove.
Training Day reference.
That's right. Exactly. And so it's really cool to see how each of these things like
Or it's not
can
what you
mirror
know.
and imitate each other.
It's not what
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Yeah.
And so the Crucible is another one of those really good play to movies that imitates the exact same concept of the idea of understanding other people around you instead of running in fear of them,
Yeah.
or convicting them for convenience. So it's kind of cool. I wanted to bring that up so that you could know about that too. The Crucible is really good too. Not as good as 12 Angry Men, I would say.
Yeah.
But the Crucible really like set good parameters for, I guess, this genre as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah. Art imitating life.
Art imitating life.
Imitating.
Yeah. And then Monty Python did a whole thing about witches in
That was a
Monty
reference
Python
there.
and the Holy Grail. Yeah. It's yeah,
Bring out your dead.
absolutely.
Yeah, Monty Python is a whole other thing that's very good. So I was introduced to Monty Python as a teenager.
To bring a really awkward end to this episode, I'm going to tell you a bit about film history. You ready?
Okay.
Ready? The editor, you can keep this one in or leave it out or use it as the little spoiler for the beginning. I don't care. Whatever you want to do. The first feature-length film that was ever made and played in a movie theater was called Birth of a Nation. And Birth of a Nation is an American movie about how the brave, heroic white men saved the United States from an upheaval of the entire system of slavery by the complete extinguishing of the black people.
Thank goodness for the brave white men.
Thank God for them. And I still think
Always
to this
the
day,
best. Always,
it's the worst thing about film history that could have ever happened.
I mean, history in general.
That's true.
Like it's
That is
a
true.
real life thing. Like white people are the best and black people are the worst.
Yeah,
Still,
I feel like it was a great way to tie in all of this. Everything's being prosecuted
dude.
against understanding of each other.
Yeah, and I mean, and I'll say this, to end it off is this that like it doesn't matter who you are or where you are, or what you believe or how you feel about yourself. Like the commonality that we all share is that we're all human beings and we're alive and living in this world.
Yeah,
And like spending your time trying to force people to think the way that you do, it's not worth it. I think it's about just treating everyone else. It's the golden rule, right? Treat others how you would want to be treated.
yeah,
And it's about love and empathy and it's not even necessarily about understanding. Like I don't have to understand fully your situation to be empathetic to it and to care for you as a human being. And like it doesn't matter about your race, it doesn't matter about your gender, it doesn't matter about how much money you have or don't have in the bank. Like the truth of the matter is that we're all living this world together.
Yep.
And we could all help each other or we could all hurt each other. And to be honest with you, these days, and maybe it's just the news, but I think there's a lot more people hurting each other than helping each other. You find in real life small pockets of people and communities of people that are about helping each other, and that's great. And I hope that if you're out there and you feel that kind of way, you feel marginalized or you feel unimportant, I hope you know that you are important and your life is important and you are valuable. And sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes a lot of people say happiness is your own, and I like to find and to deal with. I get that, but also sometimes you have the power to influence somebody else's happiness or their well-being, and hopefully we're about that as people, that we would want to help people more than we would want to hurt people. And I definitely in my life have learned that like I want to be told if I'm doing something wrong immediately. If I'm doing something that's is hurtful or harmful, I want to be called out immediately so that I can stop that behavior if it's hurtful to someone. But you're important, you're loved, and to be honest with you, like this is what I get out of movies too. Is it helps me understand people, it helps me understand the climate and the culture that I'm living in. And that movie is, I just felt, even though it was black and white, even though it has those weird old timey shooting things, like where we talked about, where they'll do the close up, and it'll only have the light on the eyes for dramatic effect, and they're just staring off into the distance as they, whatever, what they're alluding to, but it's literally just the light right on their eyes, and everything else is dark, and it's all up close. That's kind of an old timey thing, I think, for dramatic effect in movies, but it's still relevant that we have we do have power to help or hurt people, and we should be able to recognize when we have that power, and we should want to be like the guy that says, hey, look, right or wrong, I think that there's reasonable doubt, and like we should give the benefit of the doubt if we can, and I think that's important to anybody, and I think that's towards each other, towards family, towards friends, whatever the case may be, if we can. If we can't, well, then we hope justice is served, right? So anyways, it's a fantastic movie, 12 Angry Men. I
We
believe
are the world. We are the children.
exactly. Shall we hold hands?
Yeah. Here, as we say our goodbyes.
Hold hands with us in the comments and through likes and
Yeah.
subscriptions, guys. Hopefully, you have a good time with us as we do with you. Leave a comment. Tell us if you want to watch the movie, if you have watched the movie, or if you kind of just like look up a trailer. It's the 1957 one, not the 1997 or 5 or whatever it is.
Comment your favorite juror.
Yeah, do not watch that. We want to hear what you think about the concept of the movie, the things that you learned from it, what you just thought about it as a whole. I get it. If you're younger, the harder I think it's going to be to watch a black and white movie. The way they talk is a little different.
If you can give it like 20 to 30 minutes, you'll be in.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. We're gonna go. We're gonna keep holding hands after the cameras are off. But
Yeah.
guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Until next time, I don't know what we're gonna do. Michael and I are gonna discuss it off camera. We'll figure something out. Hopefully, you join us next week for our next movie. And as always, I hope your day is everything you dreamed it'd be and more. And we look forward to seeing you next time. All right, bye.
Kill your dad.
No,
Don't kill your dad. Don't kill your dad.
Don't do that. Stop. Hey, full-time movie fans, thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you had a good time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment. We want to hang out and discuss the movie with you. So don't forget to do that below. Have a good one. I hope your day is everything you dreamed it'd be and more.